Okay, so I have a question. What do you think actually makes a marriage last? Is it love? Is it trust? Or maybe something else? I mean, a lot of people think love is enough, but in reality, I don't think it's that simple because there are so many couples who end up with having problems or even breaking up. So, yeah, in this video, I want to talk about one thing that I think is very, very important in marriage, which is communication. So, what do I actually mean by communication? I think communication is not just about talking, like, it's not just about saying what you think, saying what you feel, but it's also about listening. Like, really listening, not just for your turn to speak. And also, trying to understand your partner because sometimes people don't need solution. They just want to feel heard. You know, and I think that's something a lot of people forget. In healthy marriage, both people should feel safe to express themselves. Like, they can talk about their feelings, their problems, even their fears without feeling judged. And when that happens, there's like a strong emotional connection. And that connection is what makes a relationship stronger. But without communication, even people who love each other can feel really far from each other. But what happens when there's no communication? Um, I think this is where many problems actually start. When people don't communicate, they start to make assumptions. And honestly, assumptions are usually wrong. For example, if your partner suddenly replaced late or maybe became quiet, you might start thinking like, did I do something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Even though maybe they're just busy. But because there's no communication, you might start creating negative thoughts, and that can lead to misunderstanding, overthinking, and slowly it can damage trust. And I think this is really important. Many relationships don't fail because there is no love, but because people don't know how to communicate properly. They keep everything inside until one day everything just explodes. And it becomes much worse. And also, communication is not only about words, it's also about how you say things, like your tone, your facial expression, your body language. For example, if someone is talking seriously but you're just looking at your phone and you don't respond, can make them feel ignored. Even without saying anything, you can hurt someone. But on the other hand, simple things like eye contact, nodding, or just saying, yeah, I understand what you feel. I understand. Can make your partner feel respect and feel it. So yeah, communication is not just what we say, but also how we show it. So, how can we improve communication? I think it sounds simple, but it's not always easy. First, first we need to learn how to listen. Like, really listen your partner. Don't interrupt, Don't judge too quickly, and just try to understand. Second, be honest. Because if we hide our feelings, it will only create distance. Third, timing is very important. Like, don't talk about seriously when you or your partner angry because because this is make everything worse. And also respect. Even when you argue, you still need to respect each other because communication is not about winning. It's about solving the problems together. And yeah, sometimes we need to be compromised because marriage is not a competition. It's teamwork. And honestly, even though we're not married yet, this topic is still very, very relevant for us because communication is important in every relationship, like with friend and with family. If we can communicate well from now, it will be harder in the future. So I think learning how to communicate from now is actually really important because marriage is not about love, but also about understanding, patience, and effort. So yeah, communication is the foundation of a successful marriage. Without communication, love alone is not enough. But with communication, people can understand each other, solve problems, and grow together. So, if you want to have a strong and healthy relationship in the future, we need to start learning how to communicate better from now. Because in the end, a good relationship is not about being perfect, but about two people who are willing to understand each other. And maybe just one last thing. I think communication is not something we suddenly became good at. It's something we learn slowly over time. And yeah, sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we misunderstand people, but I think that's okay as long as we're willing to learn and improve. As long we will learn and improve because in the end of the day, a good relationship is not about never having problems, but about how we handle those problems together. So yeah, I think communication it's something really simple, but also it's really important, not only for marriage, but for every relationship in our life. And so, yeah, I think that something we often underestimate because sometimes we feel like communication is just something simple like talking, texting, or just reply to someone. But actually, it's more than that. It's about how we make other people when we talk to them. Like, do they feel respect? And I think those small things really relevant because in relationship it's usually it's like how we respond, how we listen, how we react when someone talking. So yeah, that's why I think communication is really important and something we should never take for granted. So maybe that's all for me. Thank you so much.